Good morning, everyone. I hope you had a great evening. It was another delightful one here in Wichita. We got very, very close to 70. Pretty tough to take on this January 27th and 28th. Countering this is the weekend forecast for rain turning to snow. So Reg is going to share some of that cold air, Reg and Sandy, and send it send it south. Okay. Today we have the FOMC meeting. No one expects any change. Interest rates as they are. Concerned about the world's economy, the impact on the U.S. economy. They expect modest to moderate growth in the United States. They expect the United States economy to weather the storm. I don't know what the price of crude oil will have on their story. They say the lower prices of crude oil will spread through the economy, and while we will lose growth in the oil sector, we'll pick it up in other areas. That's hard to believe. All the job growth in the United States has come from 65 counties. It's been fixed to North Dakota and then Washington, D.C. So the price of oil is working its way through the economy, and the outcome's not going to be good. Texas has been the employment engine all the way up to North Dakota. It's not there anymore. And these are well-paid positions. You read about the layoffs in Baker Hughes, Schlumberger, the service side of it, it's going to spread. So I think some people will cast some doubt on the optimism of the Fed's economic forecast. The Fed will even place language that says no rate increase possible until late April. Most economists now are guessing June is when it happens. There will be no statement. There will be no press conference. It'll all be handed out come 2 o'clock Eastern Time. The other news today is crude inventories looking for plus 4.3 million barrels. That would be bearish for crude. Big news out overnight. The Greek markets have been hit pretty hard. Greece is picking up Russia's call about leaving the EU rhetorically and joining the Euro-Asian Union. So Greece is still trying to play their cards, trying to get as much support as they can get. But Greek bonds are now over 16%, and the Greek stock market has been hit. So the Greek elections do have ramifications. The U.S. will be the spot that the world looks for stability. For coherent policy, and I hope I'm holding their breath. Right now, the stuff that we get out of the administration, tax-wise and business-wise, is counter growth. So it's hard to see where this economic growth and prosperity is going to come from. China attacked Alibaba in the press overnight, going in their operation. They're talking about fraud. They're talking about misrepresentation. They're talking about counterfeit goods. And if you think about when we used to travel the world, China and India did not abide by copyright or patent law. And you could go to Taiwan in those days or any place in India and buy poorly made knockoffs of any kind of name brand around the world. You could buy the Encyclopedia Britannica for like $29 in India. Paper quality wasn't all that good, but this is what goes on. So here we have Alibaba, a Chinese organization, and they're being accused of counterfeiting, fraud, etc., by the Chinese government. And my point is that that's been a very, very long practice in that part of the world, and if you would ever look for counterfeit goods or fraud coming out of India and China, especially for export, would be the first place that you'd look for it. So there might be some fire behind the smoke in that case. So where are we right now? I think we've got great support at 16, maybe as high as 20. So we have this two-letter ledge. It may be cute, 19 to 15 by 1, 9 to 13 by 2. If the stock index is set, we'll have to raise this. On the sell side, I'm really 27 to 31, selling failure to take out the buck, 28 to the buck, and then 3 to 7. No news to drive today's trading. I expect the FOMC to hold the markets in check. I expect the 2-year auction to be supportive. Okay, the knobs widened overnight, came back in. These guys are working it pretty good. Again, if somebody holds a gun to your head in today's market conditions and the economy around the world, you're probably inclined to be a buyer of treasuries, to be a buyer of gold. Okay, 9 to 13 by 1. We've had no trouble getting down to our number 2 areas, 1 to 5 by 2. On the sell side, 27 to 31, and then 3 to 7. I'm going to play for a knob set of 20. Poor Marshawn Lynch, to keep from getting fined $500,000 yesterday, he showed up at the pref conference, and I forget what the exact quote was, but he says, "I'm here at the podium in front of you today, so I won't get fined," and that was his statement. He answered every question that way, so which absolutely has to infuriate the I mean, you still got the bureaucrats and administrators, especially at the NFL or any other powerful organization. You're not allowed to be defiant. But he does not like to give press conferences. He does not like to get in front of the camera. And a lot of stuff that goes on in those press conferences is pretty inane. Okay, gold, we're back where we were yesterday, 95.97, sell 1. 1300.02, sell 2. Very, very little range overnight, 85.87 buy 1. We're going to drop if we bust the 85.87. We've got a shot at 75 to 77, but I really don't see much happening until Janet speaks. And again, this transparency, this flight to quality, think about the problems that you have if you're a fundamental investor in buying Alibaba. As a momentum investor, it's a pretty easy trade or investment. As an IPO buyer, strictly because it's an IPO, it's a pretty easy trade. But if you're a long-term fundamentalist, think about the problems that you have getting information out of China and places like that around the globe. It's very difficult to do. Okay, the euro's on hold. I imagine that will be the case. We like to sell into 114. We like to buy into 113. That's kind of where we are right now. So we've got a 25 buy plus or minus, 113 even plus or minus. On the sell side, 80 to 90, and 1410 to 20 for sell 2. Crude, a very quiet night. Nothing has come out of OPEC. The $40 to $50 range is where people with long-time producing assets, deep water Gulf drilling, that's the horizon. And when you go with a major, a lot of the, if it won't pencil out at 40 to 50 bucks a barrel, the project usually does not get done. And depending on who you read, Bakken, Travis County, Texas. The very best stuff is 45 to 55, and it goes all the way up to 80 from there. And I don't know if that's really true or not. Doesn't mean they'll stop pumping, but there is one thing that you can do with horizontal drilling and fracking in oil that you're not able to do with vertical, is that you can shut those wells in. I think they can bring most of the production back, just like they do on gas. A gas well is like turning off a gas line. It's under pressure. You can shut those off and you can bring that production back and forth quickly. And a lot of that happens in the summer when there's not as much demand for it. But on crude oil, on the vertical wells, you've never really been able to do that without hurting production. And so once they can no longer make cash flow, can't pay their bills, and they're put into receivership, those wells will be shut in. But I think the production is there for when the price of oil gets back up. So I think this $40 to $50 area, because of the long-term costs, it's kind of like gold. Why wouldn't, back before gold rallied to 2000, why wouldn't it go below $250 an ounce? Because that was the production cost. And there were no sellers down there, only buyers against that number. Okay, the E-mini is going to be interesting today. The FOMC announcement, policy steady as she goes. I think it will yield a trading range. I think if you look at the economic news and what's gone on, the tendency for a longer-term player, if you're a fundamentalist, take profits on stocks that you think are approaching being overvalued, maybe not sell the entire market. So there won't be wholesale selling. So we've got this 45 to 50 as pretty good resistance, and on the downside with 25 to 30 is pretty good support. And so the issue once again becomes this 35 area or 30-32. So I think we got a trading range. We're going to try for 30 to 32, 25 to 27 on the buy side. No news to drive it. The Fed's not going to come out and pooch and say anything that hurts the stock market. So I think it's okay to be a buyer. I do think it's okay to sell failure to get through the 45-50 area. Look for a trading range until Big Janet puts her printout today. Okay, it'll take about 20 minutes, everything up and posted. I'm going to get busy on that. We'll put the bond and the note up, the note up when I get the recording stopped. I'll be back with you as soon as possible.